Hello, world. Happy New Year. Well, good morning. And I should really be getting to work, but I found this fantastic post that perfectly illustrated the problems of privacy and what I've been calling full stack media literacy on my site concernednetizen.com. So I thought I would share it here. It's a post on the privacy subreddit. So if you go to reddit.com/r/privacy, which is full of all sorts of advice on how to be private on the internet. So this post has received a ton of attention, 5,500 upvotes, and a whole bunch of little, awards and whatnot. It's been pinned to the top of the sub, so clearly it's gaining a whole bunch of attention. It hits on some very key points, social points regarding computer literacy. So let's see what the poster says. They say the sub is about privacy. Every day, we get people who are just realizing for the first time how much of their information out there is beyond their control. They come here looking for help and advice and sometimes to share their successes. Oftentimes, they have little to no technical knowledge, let alone an advanced understanding of information security or how to compile their own apps from source. But they want to learn. The poster goes on to talk about all sorts of various ways that new people get crapped all over. People get downvoted into oblivion for suggesting it might be difficult for grandma to compile her own Android app instead of installing it from the Play Store. People who ask where they can get a privacy respecting news app are told, ugh, why would you even want an app? That's so stupid. People who are happy they deleted their Google data are chided. Oh, you're cute. You think they actually deleted it? Guess again, moron. Or people who leave Gmail for third-party providers like Proton Mail. Anything less than a self-hosted email server is a waste of time. Why don't you just go back to AOL? This attitude does nothing to further privacy. It just makes the Redditor look like a jackass gatekeeper, and it makes the community toxic. So, clearly these sentiments resonate hard in the internet privacy community. Now, this has been something that has been on the internet my entire life. This whole line here. Does chiding people who are new and don't understand computers to, back in the day, we'd say, read the effing manual, RTFM, when they ask a stupid question, does that encourage them to learn more about computers? Well, some people get the tough love, some people don't. The point is understanding how to compile your own Android app essential to actually securing your privacy? If you're nice to people who think they're making progress when they're not, well, it should always be nice to people, I suppose. But like, if you reward a false sense of progress, to people who take an easy way out that doesn't actually get them anywhere, are you helping them or are you thwarting them if their actual goal is privacy? I mean, for the sake of my channel, I'm kind of going absolutist on the full stack media literacy angle, which means, yeah, you have to understand the media if you're going to own it and control it and use it, and conversely not let it control and own and shape and determine and fate you, right? Conscious thinking requires an awareness of what's going on around you. Is structured about, is intrinsic within a conscious awareness of what the heck's going on, and awareness of what you do and what you do not have power over, and what you can and what you cannot have power over. Heck, serenity depends on at least an awareness of determining those things, and being able to determine those things is thus essential to any security or foundation or grounding of being, insofar as I'm trying to lay it out here based on the ideas of Marshall McLuhan and whatnot. So, what we have here is basically computer nerds chiding noobs, saying you don't understand your computer yet, therefore you're never going to escape the privacy invading machine of social media and of Facebook and of Google. I have to reluctantly agree, while also sympathizing with people who don't like being, made fun of for having been trapped by the promise of easy-to-use computers. Here's what happened. Back in the 70s, again, this is all in my documentary series, but I'll sum it up for you. Go watch Silicon and Charybdis. There's going to be more coming out. I'm going to, it's sort of like a foundation that I'm building upon. But you can see how Seymour Papert's work to try to create computer interfaces for children led to the highly marketable idea of intuitive user interfaces that nobody had to learn anything about from like reading or studying. They just had to go play with it and figure it out. That's why the first Macintosh was largely considered a toy, because that's what it was. It was a toy that you play with and you figure out how to learn it. And someone who knew nothing about computers whatsoever could, within a few hours, just sitting there playing with it all on their own, learn a whole lot about how to use the computer. Of course, they weren't using the computer at all. They were using a high-level artificial cyberspace full of metaphors which resonated to common objects on their desk and all about them that worked just like they did in real life, or sufficiently a sufficient facsimile of those objects enough for them to intuitively figure out how to use them, right? So that's been the popular computing world, and that's what's been selling computers to people for the past 30, 40 years is just make it easy to use, just make it easy to figure out, just make it as the most intuitive thing that anybody can pick it up and a child can pick up their iPad and play with it, and that's going to sell a whole bunch of computers. But also, within that artificial, easy-to-use world of computers is a whole bunch of people ready to take all your money and steal all your data and use slot machine psychic games to drive you into a different how shall I say this degrees of into impulse buying sort of mentality. To cut a long story short, actually learning how the computer works is the key to getting out of that, but it's very hard. The promise is that computers actually give you full control over the full stack. What that means is that, okay, let's say you had like a ham radio. You own the ham radio. You can talk to anywhere on the planet because the radio is the whole device. And with it, it's a transmitter that you can transmit across the whole world with. A telephone is not like that. A telephone is completely useless because you only own half the device. The other half of the device, which is the huge telephone network and the wires and you don't own that. Television. A television is useless because if you don't have there's no television stations out there broadcasting stuff to you. The whole stack of a telephone or of a computer is not under of a telephone or a television is not under your control. And so media analysis in the 20th century is all premised on media being these end user devices that people, necessarily have to go pay other services to complete for them in order, right? But no, the computer, you own the physical hardware. You could control it top to bottom, or you could, pay or rely on people who control it all for you, who you actually trust top to bottom for you. You can create a whole community based around owning your devices, which allows you to escape the centralized bureaucracy wherein owning it, right? You could start the public access television model of computing could be a thing for social media, I guess is what I'm getting at. But in the meantime, we're stuck with this problem where people who do understand the technology are freaking out and becoming irate, and obviously, according to this post, belittling the people who were sort of scammed by Steve Jobs, who stole their safe and predictable cell phone and snuck a computer into their pocket. That's one of the things we have to work on, and that's what I'm going to keep working on this channel for. I'm really happy to have recorded this short video. Got to get going now, but I have more free time coming up in the future, so expect a lot more stuff here, and I hope you follow along. Subscribe to my stuff. You can click subscribe below. Check out my website down below. If you like what I'm doing, you can support me on a few platforms here. Otherwise, until next time, stay safe out there in the maelstrom. Bye.